Now, if we look at the polling, it's really been quite an emphatic win in the last round of primaries for Joe Biden.
Yes, it was. He had a sweeping victory yesterday in Florida and Illinois and Arizona. In Florida, he won every single county. That's a huge cementing of his lead. He has some 1,180 delegates to Sanders' 885. And if you look at the 2016 race, at this same time, Barack Obama led Hillary by 100 delegates. Biden here is winning by 3 times that amount. So clearly, we can see that Biden is the presumptive nominee for the as Democrat candidate. But because of the coronavirus and the fact that this is going to remain an issue for some time to come, and the leading issue, it really is taking the spotlight off the campaign. And some are saying that it's giving Sanders a little bit of extra time because some of these the primaries coming up have been delayed. So in normal times, I think we would have seen Sanders giving a concession speech of sorts and pulling out of the campaign. We are seeing indications that he's considering it. On the one hand, my experience tells me that when you hear a candidate's staffers, senior staffers saying, we're going to be reassessing our campaign, that's an indication that they're preparing to pull out. In addition, Sanders' team has pulled digital advertising that they had scheduled to run today. So those are 2 indications. On the other hand, the progressive supporters in his campaign are suggesting that maybe he wants to try to stay in the race for a little bit longer to try to help push the progressive movement by winning a few more delegates in the upcoming primaries, which would allow him to have a bit more influence when the Democratic National Convention comes around and they're settling on their platform.
And Kim, this is yet to be seen about how the coronavirus is going to impact voters' behaviour. It's certainly undercutting one of Donald Trump's key strengths in that he's always said the economy's strong because of me. Right now, it's absolutely chaotic on Wall Street. But it also remains to be seen whether people are going to lean towards a more progressive Bernie Sanders in light of his very strong policy on healthcare, or if they're going to want that kind of old steady hand that we see with Joe Biden.
Well, that's a good question. I think up until this point, we could have said that Bernie's revolution has not been grasped by the Democrat voter. Clearly, he's had an impact in young voters, particularly, but they have not turned out in the numbers that he was expecting to turn out during these primaries. So, you know, I would see that in the future, Sanders will have to reconsider his position in light of the coronavirus. He should mobilize his troops and his Democrats supporters around a more moderate choice. Americans will be looking to have for less of a revolution. They'll certainly be supporting additional health care, as they have been since Obamacare was initiated. And I think they'll see that that the Biden platform will provide that for them. But yeah, I think in going forward, there's not much choice for Bernie here. If he really wants to defeat Trump at the moment, he'll need to read the tea leaves here. Another thing I would say is that during a crisis, in my experience, the incumbent has an even more strengthened position. You know, George W. Bush was awarded a second term after 9/11 and his handling of that. Barack Obama was awarded a second term after his handling of the global financial crisis. So the president has an opportunity here with the right kind of leadership to strengthen his reelection chances come November. So we're still early enough in the election cycle that he does have that opportunity. Whether he can parlay that into more votes for him and an approval rating that goes up remains to be seen.